More than 600 people have died looking for the lost Dutchman's gold mine in the Superstition mountains of Arizona. The dry desert heat, the snakes, the lack of water, it's all a deadly combination. When Jacob Waltz died, he took the location to the Spanish Peralta mine to his grave. And until now, it hasn't been explained. I'm Gene Carter, and I discovered the location of the lost Dutchman's gold mine. And now I'm going to show you the maps, the details, and the location itself. Jacob Waltz was not Dutch. In fact, he was German, and he spoke Deutsch. The original tellers of the story were a little confused and didn't really know who he was. Jacob Waltz was using a previously known Spanish Peralta mine, and the Peralta maps are mounted on the wall in Apache Junction in the museum. The main site is shown on the Peralta stones, the most complex map, which has a heart that is inserted into one of the tablets to complete the most complex part of the map. I'm going to be using this illustration today because it's easier to see, but it's identical in every way. This is a map of the Superstition Mountains area, and there's a line on the top and bottom that you can see here is the rivers north and south of the Superstition Mountains. This symbol here is a needle. This is Weaver's needle. So the heart is to the northwest of that, the most complex part of the map, which has the omega symbol in it, the ending. You see where the arrows come together. This is the location, which would be northwest of Weaver's needle. So when we find Weaver's needle, we're going to narrow in to the northwest of Weaver's needle toward Tortilla Flat. Looking on Google Earth, I can see the shadows of the mountain peaks here, which are indicated on the map. Furthermore, what looks like rivers here are actually washouts. They really torrent with water when it rains, but they're dry other than that. And those are also on the map. The red arrow here I'm showing you is the Apache Trail. This is an old Indian trail which became a wagon trail, which then became a paved highway today, leading into Tortilla Flat. The knife here, the tip of the knife is touching the water, so this is referring to the site as being carved out by the waters. There's an arrow in the handle pointing to the main arrow that goes into the center. This site was carved out by waters. You can see the tip clearly touching the water there. This is a chasm in Tortilla Flat, up the washout. And this is a site carved out by waters. Another map in the museum in Apache Junction shows this washout here, and if you look at this rock here, standing in Tortilla Flat looking up the washout, you can see the rock up on the cliff there. The washout is pretty well hidden by the vegetation there. The washout leads directly into an odd looking symbol there, shape. That is clearly an entrance to a chasm carved out by the waters. In the back of the chasm is a waterfall. Now all the water in the entire valley region rinsed to this spot. This water is trickling even on the hottest days. It sucks the humidity and moisture out of the ground, and this is a water source for the Indians. This is why it was so sacred to them. And this chasm is very naturally cool. It's so shaded from the sun in there. Beautiful temperature inside. As we approach the waterfall, we can see at the base of it there's a pit of water, which is level to the entrance that I came in on. Now the water does flow downward farther from there and has carved out a pit 10 feet below me. So this is a natural sluice. All the water in the entire area rinses through here, like I said. And if you've ever been on a gold faring river, you can see the gold flake float down the river. And so all those flakes, even in the Superstition Mountains here, rinse to this area. So when the water comes down the waterfall and lands in this pit 10 feet below, it gets churned around, and all the stones in the base rinse it clean of all the dirt. All the gold is cleaned real good. And so the gold heavies settle out, and the rocks churning above them hammer them into gold nuggets in the bottom of these little holes here, which are now filled with the topsoil rocks. Water then has to go up 10 feet to flow out, so the heavies stay in there. This is a very high grade, rinsed and hammered gold area. The symbols in here are Indian, referring to this being a sacred waters. It's always been sacred waters, and they remain that today. The Peralta set up quite a few markers in the area. This is a side hole marker, which you can see the hole in the stone there with the pile of rocks a little bit to the right of it. Now, if you were to step to the right until that hole disappeared behind that pile of rocks, this would point like a rifle straight at the chasm. And there are several of these out there, although a few of them have collapsed. There are a few left. The Indians, the Peraltas, and the Dutchmen took shelter in the natural stone little caves here. This is a vantage point coming into the chasm. It's nice and cool. It's near the water. It's protection from falling rock. Protection from the sun especially. This is where the Dutchmen would have been housed, right in here. So this is a half mile behind Tortilla Flat, which is a restaurant today. It originally was a supply store, and that supply store, Jacob Walls helped start it because he wanted to bring supplies to himself. Well, who wants to spend a week or two crossing the desert to go get supplies when you can just have them brought to yourself just a half a mile from your site? Far enough where you can lose somebody and hide coming up the road. If there's anybody following you, just keep going up the Apache Trail, or you cut off to your site. He could stay in there as long as his supplies lasted. His water was indefinite, but as long as he had food, he could stay there for a long period of time. Tortilla Flat will serve you an awesome steak, and if you're lucky, you might be able to see a Wild West shootout while you're there. And very friendly people. You'll see a lot of awesome artifacts in there. Have yourself one of the best steaks you ever encountered, and tell them I sent you. The location of the Lost Dutchman's gold mine is in a protected national forest, and no digging or mining is allowed in this area. The samples prove I'm right, but we can't mine it. I'm rewarded only with the satisfaction with being the guy that solved this great mystery. I'm limited by funding. If you'd like to know more about this adventure or some of my other great discoveries, please like, share, subscribe, and comment if you think that I truly found the location to the Lost Dutchman's gold mine, or you think I'm incorrect. If you'd like to donate or sponsor my upcoming events, please click my link. There's a lot of expensive gear I need, like LiDAR, ground penetrating radar, XRF testing devices, and all the other great, newest and greatest devices available. Stay tuned.